had this pain in my side, like my lower right side, and it literally felt like I was getting stabbed in the stomach and had the knife was still in there.
Ooh.
The pain was so bad I couldn't even like turn, and I couldn't even like lay on my stomach when I was sleeping. I had to sleep on my back. I didn't sleep at all. So I had appendicitis. So then I went to the hospital and they gave me a scan and to determine that it was so. And then an hour later, I'm going under surgery to have my appendix removed, and they just wanted $75,000 in my urine. So, and I thought they would at least give me a discount, for my urine because I provided them with so much urine.
Yeah, they kept that. You said that during your hospital stay, they would like come in and just need urine samples constantly.
Yeah, like I couldn't provide them with, I didn't have anything to like drink, like no fluids for at least 24 hours, and they wanted to like sat me dry. So like they had the IV bags in me, and they gave me like stuff that Elvis died on, like as the painkiller. Like, oh god, I will say though that drug was like amazing. It was called Dilaudid, and they only gave me 1 millimeter at a time in my IV, and that was like the ultimate painkiller, and it literally was like being injected with love.
So a milliliter of this stuff just makes you like love everybody and everyone.
I did.
Did you feel the love?
I really did, like, because like I had some family there looking after me, and then my best friend came in the next day, and I was just high, and like it lasted for about 2 hours.
Oh my god!
Every time, so I was just like so much love. Like I didn't feel anxiety, I didn't feel depression. I wasn't, thinking about my usual like ruminations. In my head. I was like completely at peace, and I felt like so much love. Like it's like this chemical is so strong, it like tricks your brain, and it kills all your pain. You just feel. I don't know. I felt like a baby again.
Wow.
And I've never I don't have any baby memories, but when I was in the hospital bed, I just felt so serene. I kind of want to go back, so I know it makes everybody else worried. And I'm just saying that, like, I'm not afraid of hospitals like some people are. Like, I go to the hospital. I've only been in the hospital and stayed the night twice. Like, once when I was 14 when I broke my leg. The other was a few weeks ago. And, I was just like, dude, this is pretty cool. I don't really have to do anything. I don't have to text anybody. I don't have to worry about, my future. I mean, it was really tough because all of the incisions were in my abdomen.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really move. And they gave me this bottle to piss in on the side of the bed. And I never did that before. Because, like, apparently you just, like, the gimmick is, you sit up, you piss in the bottle in bed. I just said, screw that. So I actually got up and walked to the bathroom to piss. And at that point, I didn't piss for like a day.
Oh.
And it was so painful. Like just going to the bathroom, like you really take a lot of stuff for granted. Like just like bending your knees, like when you can't do that, or just like how much stuff is in your abdomen too. And, I'm a big guy, so all that weight was just like making the wound a lot harder to just carry around.
Mm-hmm,
so, but dude, I had that pain med. Like, there was this one guy, I think he, I don't know what his deal was, but he kept walking around the hospital in the middle of the night going, and I like
poor guy
walking around. I don't know if it was a visitor or if it was a patient or a nurse. Like I don't know who it was, but they shot me up with some Dilaudid at like 10 p.m. and then like my body was so ready to pass out because at that point I didn't sleep for at least a full 4 days. Like literally, I maybe only got 2 hours of sleep. 2 hours of sleep in 4 days.
Oh my god!
So they gave me Dilaudid, and then I was just ready to like die at that point. Like,
shit.
And then I was just like, I'm gonna go right into dreamland, and then I hear and I was just like, he might have a gun. That's okay, because Dilaudid, I was just so much in love.
Yeah, that is wonderful, and also kind of probably explains the opioid epidemic that we have in our nation. Because if I'm not saying that whatever you were on is the equivalent of heroin, because I haven't tried either. But if we are to say that they both make you feel lovey and amazing, I actually think, isn't heroin supposed to just like knock you out?
No, I mean, like heroin, I think, I don't know too much about it, but it just pretty much, like, makes you feel, like, really, 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 really good to the point where if you don't have it, it, like, ruins your whole body. Like, you go through severe withdrawals. It literally, like, changes you.
No, for sure, for sure. But again, it's kind of like, it's like, you now are just like, oh man, the hospital was great and that shit was awesome. And it's like, wow, like, that's how a heroin addict feels. Like, that shit felt awesome.
I got really sad. Like, when the nurse told me that they're going to start putting me on Vicodin instead of the Dilaudid, it literally felt like she was breaking up with me. Like, it literally felt like, Brent, I found somebody else. I don't love you. I know it's been 50 years we've been together, but this is it.
But this is it. And now here's some Vicodin.
And the Vicodin did nothing. And I'm like, how the fuck are people addicted to this when there's Dilaudid?
Oh my god.
You know, so...
Not that we're advocating for substance use or abuse.
No, but I can understand it because I do have a very addictive part of my personality. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm addicted to candy.
Dude, I feel you though. Well, the thing with like being addicted to food is that your dealer is on every corner and in every place ever. It's that easy to get food at all times. I should say it's that accessible at all times.
And the thing is, if you make under a certain amount of money, the government gives you a card to help feed your addiction.
This is true.
So you couldn't get a credit card and just go buy heroin with it.
Yeah.
Provided by the government.
Yes.
But I could totally understand being addicted to like the Vicodin. I still have some pills left over, and they weren't really hard. I was in pain every time I went to sleep, and they made me feel like really more relaxed.
Yeah.
So once I stopped feeling pain, then it was easier for me to wean off of them. But I could understand being addicted to those.
Yeah, definitely.
And I can get them like $10 a pill on the street, and I had a prescription for $12. Like, there was actually a big deal because my doctor originally prescribed a refill for me. Mm-hmm. So that means like, okay, I originally get 12 pills and a refill, so that's 24.
Oh shit.
So originally we went to the pharmacist, and they thought it was a bogus prescription because doctors don't write refills for Vicodin.
Oh my god.
So, but then I went to another pharmacist, and they were just like, yeah, here, go ahead, we don't give a shit.
Wow, that's really scary. That's scary to think about that it's gotten to the point that like doctors can't write refill on this because of the amount of abuse that it's come under. I knew a guy he for a period of time battled addiction with Vicodin, and it was stemmed after having his wisdom teeth out, and his doctor gave him 4 refills of Vicodin apparently. And I think a good kind of like bridging moment, because our topic of the day is trust. Doctors are really interesting people to talk about with trust, because as quote-unquote medical professionals, you trusted them with your body, obviously, and the surgeons and the ambulance team that got you there safely. But who are other people in our lives that we trust? Or you also trusted what is that drug called again? Dilaudid. You trust the Dilaudid to take away your pain.
Yeah, it's weird because I became dependent on that. So I think maybe when you do trust people, there's a certain form of dependency on what they will or won't do. So I don't know. There's a lot of people in my life that I do trust, but there's nobody I trust 100% with everything. Mm-hmm. So for instance, like one of my best friends, I could trust that I can like talk to her. Like when I could call her on the phone at like 1 a.m, and she would like listen to me, so I could trust her to listen to me. I have another friend; they probably wouldn't listen to me at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So, but that does not say they are a bad friend. It's just I put a different level of trust in different friends. So there's some friends I can talk about like my deepest stuff with, and then there's other friends I can talk about the most mundane stuff with. I trust my family, like my mom and dad. I do genuinely feel that they have the best interest in mind with me. They genuinely love me. They want to take care of me and make sure that I am getting the best stuff. Not in terms of like money, but just, okay, am I taken care of? So like they really helped take care of me like when I came home from the hospital. Mm-hmm. So I could trust that they want to do that. Other than that, it's really hard to find new people to trust, especially like the older I've gotten, because once I got out of like school and like other social circles, I find new people just in the wild, either at work or just maybe through another friend. It's really, really hard to find new people because you got to open yourself up again. And the friends that I've made throughout my life, we bonded over certain things. And then it always came to the point where, okay, we're bonding over this thing. Here's my deep problems. Here's why I might have this look in my eye on certain days where I'm just really, really sad.
Yeah.
And here's why. But when I'm happy, here's why I could be happy, and here's the stuff I want. It's really hard to just go through that routine every single time. It's kind of like dating in a sense, but instead of courting like relationship and you want some sort of physical intimacy or companionship, whatever like it entails with dates, with people, you're kind of looking for anchors.
Yeah.
And
do you mean just when you say anchors, people to ground you?
Yeah. Not to necessarily keep me tame, but when shit goes down, I know I can count on them.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to find new people because, there's a lot of really good people out there. Don't get me wrong. But it's really hard to keep playing that game and to keep finding more anchors. Because, I'm at a point now in my life where if I only have 5 friends, as long as they're with me, for a long time, I am totally fine with that. I don't want to be friends with literally everybody on, my Facebook profile page.
Well, and I think what you're getting at there with not wanting to be everyone's friend is that realistically you shouldn't trust those 1,000 people with the same level of information unless it's very minimal. You can't trust someone very deeply with all of your deepest, darkest thoughts and secrets. You have to take into consideration self-preservation, and that some people might let the information you tell them slip out. They shouldn't be trusted with that information, so on and so forth. I feel like trust it always comes back to people and relationships with trust. It's never, what else is there to trust? Does it always come back to relationships, or is there anything else to trust? I suppose people trust in systems, maybe the economy trusts in capitalism, or maybe politics trusts in democracy. But then again, I don't know. I think both of our go-to when you think of trust is to think of relationships.
Yeah, I think that's the most important one, because if that's on a different level, if I trust someone to be there for me, in my worst moments, that's a lot different than me trusting Burger King to give me fresh chicken tenders.
Which you shouldn't anyway.
Yeah, well, I've been to some, I was at a Chinese buffet today where I really trusted their food to be fresh. And I was the first customer there, and the fruit tasted like garbage smelled, and the salad, the cheese I put on the salad was moldy, so I couldn't even eat a full plate of salad. But the good news is, I'm going back there. I didn't expect anything less.
You are right in that the customer trusts the producer that their product is going to be safe or do what it's supposed to do, and then obviously when it doesn't, there's return policy and all that. If it's, of course, not a food item, I don't think you could return the moldy cheese. Probably just tell somebody there, yo, there's mold in this cheese.
Yeah, I couldn't find a speck of mold. It just tasted moldy. It tasted like mildew, and you could just tell.
How do you know what that tastes like?
If you've had old bad cheese,
Okay.
There's certain cheese where certain Parmesan cheeses kind of have that taste, but this was cheddar, and cheddar doesn't have that unless it's about to go bad. Every time I do go to the Chinese buffet, though, I expect food poisoning.
as one should. Not really. That's kind of, maybe it's a little classist for us to attack the Chinese buffet.
Not necessarily, but it depends on where you go. So if you go to the regular town Chinese buffet, where it's $6 all you can eat, and they have sushi And the only thing keeping the sushi cold is ice water underneath a metal plate. I kind of want food poisoning at that point. As long as, like, I know the food tastes bad. Because there's nothing... I don't want a prime rib. Like, I don't want a filet mignon surf and turf when I go to the Chinese buffet. I trust them to shave years off of my life with their food.
So you curb your expectations. Or not even you... Yeah, you curb your expectations. I was saying, do you curb your trust? But no, you're just kind of like, I trust that when I eat here, I'm going to get a quantity of food where the quality is poor, and yes, I want food poisoning from it.
Exactly. It even pertains to the service, too. The buffet my friend and I go to, we actually call it the fuck you buffet because they are so rude to us. So much. Like, whenever you say thank you, they just scowl. They just watch us like a hawk as if we're stealing the food. Whenever we have food left on the plate, like even if it's like a empty clamshell, it's like we ruined their day. But they always refill the waters. Like no matter, even if it's halfway down, they will come by and they will refill it. So there was one time though, the waitress was so nice to us. You know, we actually renamed it the Thank You Buffet.
For a day?
For a day. But then when we came back, it was the Fuck You Buffet, just like the good old days.
Damn.
So.
It's been a long time since I've been to a Chinese buffet. Like, I can't even tell you the amount of time it's been, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, that just means that you're probably going to be at my funeral or something.
Please don't say that. Here's trust. I trust that you and I will live to a ripe old age of like 78, and neither of us is allowed to die before then. Now, that's probably me foolhardily putting trust into when we're gonna die. Maybe like, I don't know, maybe people like offer it up and say like, I trust that the Lord will take me when my time is right. And then there's other people like me who are like, I trust that I will wake up tomorrow morning just cause. But that's kind of foolhardy. Like, cause at a certain point, trust, like, do you think at a certain point trust is just foolhardy? Like, sure, you can trust somebody immensely, but you don't know if it's okay to trust that person until they break your trust, right?
Yeah, there also goes a little bit of naivete with that, especially when you're trying to trust somebody new, because your image of them is almost perfect because you don't know all the stuff about them. And then once you kind of see a darker side, you can either gauge your trust, you can get more trust, or you can give them less trust.
Yeah.
Is it foolhardy? It really depends. Some people trust people way too easily. Like, there's some people who are like, maybe they're walking down the street, and then they're like, hey, I have to tie my shoe. Can you hold my wallet for a second? And like,
because we all know someone like that who needs their wallet held while they tie their shoes.
And there's some people who never lock their doors at all.
The locking of the doors phenomenon I've totally encountered. Not because I've tried to break in and enter in anyone's home, but there was some documentary where like, maybe it was a Michael Moore documentary where he went in Canada and he went to a bunch of homes and like literally just walked up to the front door and like walked in and like it was unlocked.
Yeah, playing for Columbine, he did that.
Oh yeah, and it was like to say that like, you know, Canada has just as many guns and yet they feel the need, they feel safer or whatever. Or whatever argument he was making at that. But yeah, no, I think that there's a certain element of trust that you have in fellow man, period. Like, that's why murder is terrible, is because you trust that the common man knows right from wrong and will not kill you. You trust your Uber or your taxi driver or the train operator or the pilot when you are in those forms of transportation, that they will do their job and get you to your destination safely. So we have not only like interpersonal relationships with trust and like massive systems and again, people providing services for us. Does trust go anywhere else outside of that?
I'm not too sure. In our first podcast, we talked about trust a little bit, and I mentioned trust is pretty much predictability. It's anticipation of routine. So the example that I gave was, if you have a friend you can trust to be there at 7:00, then you would totally rely on them. Or if you have a friend where you know for a fact they're not going to be there at 7:00, they're going to be there at 7:30, you can trust them to be late. So, because if your 7:00 friend was late, just all of a sudden made excuses, you'd be like, okay, what's going on? You know, but there could be a lot of things. It also is tied into vulnerability, which we will talk about later on.
Yeah. It's
really hard to trust, though.
Yeah.
I think it all depends on age, because when we're young, we want to have the best stuff.
Yeah.
We want to, like, you know, we were brought into this world by, like, big people who love us, and they let us live with them, and they feed us, and they take us to school and stuff. Like, we want to, like, trust, you know, everybody, because we don't see, like, a certain malice in that.
Well, and I think that one of the questions that I kind of wanted to walk in with was, like, how do you cultivate trust with somebody? Like, because as children, you have to learn. Well, when you're very, very small, like an infant, you know stranger danger, because that's why, like, babies get upset when they feel that they're not in their mom's arms or their dad's arms, it's someone, like, strange to them. They get uncomfortable and they cry because they can sense that like, this isn't right, this isn't someone I know or I'm familiar with. Yet then you reach a certain point when you're very small, where you're walking around and interacting with people, and you have to be taught again that you can't trust everybody, stranger danger. You shouldn't be walking around, you got to take care of yourself because people are trying to take advantage of you or will try to. So, but then I was wondering, okay, so how do we cultivate? If we are supposed to be taught, you need to be fearful of people, not fearful, cautious is maybe a better word. Be cautious of everyone you meet. Well, then how do you lower the caution and start to trust them? What are things that you do to make that trust happen?
I believe it has to do with setting small boundaries one at a time. So if you meet a stranger on the street, your boundaries are much farther away so you wouldn't ask a stranger on the street to help you, like, with financial stuff. You wouldn't ask a stranger on the street to share your deepest secret with. Like, there are just certain things you would have to build towards that. Yeah, so,
I think even the first boundary is the physical.
Right.
Like that's probably the first. Well, maybe the first boundary, other than, like, physical, because I was thinking, like, touching. Like, you don't touch people that you don't trust, and you trust other people won't touch you because they don't know you or whatever. But also even thinking about, like, communication. Like, verbal stuff. Maybe that isn't related to trust, but maybe the first boundary is, like, that interaction point. And so you trust that because we don't know each other and we're strangers, there's a certain level of interaction that we can have. And you're also trusting probably in the social mores or norms, and that the person knows and understands them and will abide by them.
I agree. To add on to that, it really does come with time, and there are certain people who have been hurt more than others.
Yeah.
So I think it's it depends on your threshold and perception of pain. Because if you've never been hurt, you're probably more trusting than somebody who has been betrayed. So, like, if somebody was in a relationship for a long time, and then let's just say there was, like, cheating going on, their trust for the next relationship wouldn't be as immediate. It's very rare. Or, okay, so food poisoning. Go to Taco Bell. You eat bad taco, and then you just get food poisoning. You probably won't go to any Taco Bell ever again, or at least for, like, a few years.
At least for a few years, yeah.
You can go back next week and be like, yeah, give me that supreme beef chalupa.
Well, so when I was, like, 12, I got like the stomach flu or something, but right before then I was taking Airborne, you know, those, like, vitamin C tablets where I was supposed to cure the flu, and I distinctly remember, like, vomiting like nobody's business after having them, and to this day I will not have Airborne.
Yeah, because you predict that if you do have it again, you're going to be probably, painting the walls in the bathroom again.
Yes. Well, I got it in the toilet seat.
Okay.
Not seat. That sounds like I was shitting. No, I was vomiting.
Okay.
But I painted that bowl with fluorescent orange from the Airborne.
Gotcha. Like, was that song playing? Do 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 do.
No, but that was beautiful. So beautiful. It reminds me of, we just had Christmas a few weeks ago, and did you know there's a Jingle Bells rendition with barking dogs?
Yeah.
Okay, so you are more worldly than I am. I didn't know this existed, and I found it hysterical, but also was wondering who is the guy or woman who put the time and energy to make that happen.
Somebody who wanted to make a quick buck. 'Cause I remember 20 years ago, my parents bought this like barking dog. Like you pressed on its paw and it sang Jingle Bells through bark. But,
what?
Yeah, so this is probably an idea that's been around since like the cave periods.
Yeah, the cave period. Like the Bronze Age, they were like, you know what would just make our holiday festival? A barking dog rendition of this old Yuletide song.
Yeah, and like even like before money existed, they said, "What the fuck do we do if we had to spend money? We can't barter, but we can just have the dog entertain us because, you know, we don't have concerts yet or comedians."
Did they trust that the dog would entertain them?
Yeah, and if the dog didn't, they would just, you know, stab it with a spear and then just roast it, and then.
And they trusted that they wouldn't get food poisoning or sick from that dog meat if they cooked it well.
So I do have a question.
Sure.
Where does level of trust come in when it comes to the unknown? So, like in this case, back then, they had no idea that eating raw meat would just kill you. It took them a long time to just burn it before they could eat it. And they figured it out. But when you have no idea what you're about to enter into, where do you gauge your trust then?
I think that with the unknown, you're always at a level of caution. At least I am. And maybe that's just part of my experience as like a woman or wherever I live, that it's always like when you enter the unknown, you always have to be cautious and prepared and expect the worst, and then you will be protected for whatever does come. Now that's kind of sad because if you're kind of fearful or afraid of people all the time, then when you do have those moments of like intimacy with somebody, not physical, but like opening up to somebody, maybe that's very difficult for the person and they don't understand how to do it very well.
Yeah, because they don't want to get hurt.
No, no one does.
Yeah, and the people like who you want to trust you, you don't want to hurt them. So it's just like this kind of social game that we play with each other.
Yeah, the trust game, the should I trust you game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I still think back to like how does one cultivate trust and your idea of the boundaries. So let's say that, you know, when you first meet somebody, you trust them with basic information, your name, where you're from. And even actually as I'm making that assumption, there's probably people in this world who do not even trust like a person that they just meet with that information. I'm sure it does vary person by person, as you were pointing out, with like how have you been maybe betrayed in your life, or have you never experienced betrayal and you're really open to everybody. That really dictates who you open up to and how much you give. It also depends on the context too. Like if you're at a cocktail party and your friend invited you and you're meeting a friend of the host's, you will probably, you know, in that context, you might be more willing to share stuff about your life and how you like your job and be honest about the coworker you hate versus a guy on the street you're walking past and like you bump into, or the guy in front of you in Starbucks who's waiting to put in his order for his caramel macchiato or whatever. Like you're not going to just tell that guy all about your job and who you hate or whatever, but somehow in that small or intimate setting that's already been constructed, then you're more willing to trust people. Or you're more willing. So context matters there in trust, too.
Yeah. I think it gets to a point where if you want to trust someone so bad, because there's always the story where, like, I worked retail, and didn't know these people. They would just come to my register, I'd check them out, and they would tell me their life story. Just about, like, there's this one guy. First day I ever met this guy. He got into a car accident on the way to the store.
Oh my god.
And he had like envelopes in his sun thing.
The visor, yeah.
Yeah, so he had those envelopes. So the thing is, when the car hit him, the envelopes fell out, and some of the envelopes caught his eye and like cut his eye.
Oh my god!
Like the eyeball. And this guy showed me pictures of his eye from the doctor's office, and he still managed to go shopping afterwards. And he's like, yeah, look what happened to me today. And this guy came in every single day, and he told me his life story. He didn't really know my name for weeks. And then he told me that all of his he had best friends that died, and
oh my god,
he had no self boundaries with that. But I did see like a kind of longing for connection with that. But it's really reckless.
It is, and like the sad thing is like when you were telling me that he was just kind of dumping all this information on you about his life. My gut reaction was like, is this person like mentally well? Are they like in a space with people that they love and trust so they don't have to like tell the cashier at the store about their life and existence? But at the same time, like, I don't know whether to admire his open bookness or to be like suspicious of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird that you said that. Is he mentally well by telling the truth?
Seriously!
Being honest immediately.
Yeah. He was honest immediately off the bat. He told you his life story. Don't trust him.
Yeah.
You better, of all the people you should worry about the guy who tells you the truth immediately, not the one who lies through his teeth.
Thank you for listening to Part 1. Part 2 will be out very soon. In the meantime, like us on Facebook at Coffee and Catastrophe, or follow us on Twitter at CCWBG. Thank you, take care, and be good to each other. Someone and they say, "So, what are you into?" "Okay, I'm into video games." "Oh, me too. What do you like to play?" And then, like, after a month of knowing each other, they drop like a real truth bomb on you, like, "Hey, this happened to me," and you're like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
But that's okay, because they kind of prepared you for that. And but if they did it right away, there's something wrong. And I agree that just because we are social creatures, we have to know when to set our boundaries and protect ourselves. Because it's kind of like driving down the street without a seatbelt and you're blowing like through all the stop signs.
Yeah.
There's something to that. I think also there's a lot of people who are so reserved, who don't who don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
And if they do reveal anything, it's like a gift.
This is true. This is very true. I think of one of my colleagues at work who there was another person in their work that they had like a funny name for, like scary something or another, because he wouldn't say hi, and every day she would say hi to him. And it wasn't till a year after she was saying hi to him, he finally looked up one day and said, "Hi," like back. And it was like this huge moment for her. And it's very similar, that moment of like, "Oh my god, you said hi finally." It's the same way of like when there's certain people just like open up. They just like let the light shine just a little bit to see who they are, or some things have happened to them. It's an amazing moment. And then it probably feels like amazing, like you're a person that this individual can trust with information, especially if you know that they're very guarded.
When you said that, I thought perhaps trust is kind of like stocks. Mm-hmm. So if you had a market where it was just flooded with a product,
yeah,
the product is worth nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So if everybody openly trusted every single person, it would mean nothing. Same thing with respect. If everybody just genuinely respected everybody, like right off the bat, it means nothing.
Yeah.
So I think perhaps withholding information is a way of preserving the value of trust.
Interesting.
So it's kind of like when you see So, like, when that guy showed me pictures of his eyeball and told me about his life, that's kind of like the equivalent of wiping your ass with money. Like, if you just took a bunch of $100 bills and you just wiped your ass and then threw it down the toilet, you're like, dude, that's, like, valuable, and you just wiped your ass with it.
It's funny you say that because on a bill, on a dollar bill, what does it say? In God we trust.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
But seriously.
So we got to trust God, too, because, hey, God orchestrated all this stuff. God is providing us a service we have to count on. He provided life.
Well, and if you think about it, like in a world of uncertainty where you didn't have the technology to predict things, like even the weather, like you couldn't predict when a snowstorm was going to happen. You just had to trust that God was going to take care of you, or that God had given you the faculties and the life experience that you would be fine. You know how to take care of your shit. So, yeah, and I think that for people, because we can't trust what tomorrow will bring, we have that uncertainty. I think they offer up their trust to a higher being because it's safer, because it's so much easier to live. And I don't mean to demean anyone who makes that choice. I don't think that's right, but at a certain point, it is a better existence to trust that something somewhere has a plan and it's all being orchestrated for a reason. That is a lot easier to go through than walking through life with the conception that there is nothing out there, there is no purpose. You know, I can't trust in tomorrow. I can't trust that anything has a plan for me, and I'm just wandering through, trying to make it through. Although in this game called life, nobody makes it out alive.
No. Some people have tried, but failed miserably.
Yeah.
And, that's very true. Because at the end of the day, you're really just trying to preserve all the best parts of yourself.
You think that's like, you think that is what humans are after at the end of the day?
At the end of the day, I think we're all trying to find meaning and figure out, because nobody consented to existence.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't have an interview with my parents. I said, hey, Mom and Dad, I think you should give birth to me because, I'll do a podcast.
Yeah, it'll be fucking great.
Yeah.
You weren't consulted before you were born.
No, I just came into existence and then they just told me to follow rules. But trust is something I think a lot of animals have that. Dogs have that. Dogs trust the shit out of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, is it trust or is it loyalty? And then where does trust start and loyalty begins, or loyalty begins and trust starts?
Ooh. I would say with loyalty, it might be, okay, no matter what happens, I will do this for you. Mm-hmm. Where trust is, I expect this to happen. Mm. Perhaps like an expectation versus like a duty.
Oh, okay. I could see that. So expectation is something that the individual has for another, whereas the duty is something internalized within the individual for another person.
Right.
Interesting.
So loyalty, like I will never cheat on my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. That just means that's like part of like dedication.
Yeah.
But she trusts me.
Speaking of the relationship, does it ever fuck you up that you technically can never, ever, ever expect 100% without a doubt what a person's going to do? Example, you can't trust that anyone in this world will love you till their dying day.
Right.
Like, you can't.
It's weird because it's too abstract.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, we try to find trust within each other, but we can't even find trust with the future.
Well, and I was going to say, struggling to find trust within yourself. So, like I told you before we were recording, I'm doing this like 30-day yoga journey. This channel, Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube, does it like every January since like 2013 or whatever. And it's a 30 days and has some theme. And yesterday's theme was trust, and how apropos. But it was it was to trust the yoga, trust the process, trust that everything is as it should be. That's something that one of the mantras that was repeated. Shout out to you, Adrian, you my girl. But say hi to Benji for me, her dog. She has a blue healer dog that's in the videos with her. It's fucking adorable. But it was that idea that you need to trust in the process. And it made me think about trusting in yourself. Like, trusting that everything is as it should be. That's kind of offering it up to that big picture thing. Maybe a higher being or whatever. Trusting that everything is as it should be. But trusting yourself. Because something that I've been doing in yoga is like, your body knows when something doesn't feel good. Or even trusting your gut. How many people deny their gut in favor of the logical? How many people say, you know, this is going to make me money. In my gut, I know it's not going to make me happy. It's not going to increase my longevity or whatever. But I know it's logical because I'll make more money and then I can do more things or whatever. And so they don't even trust themselves or their gut.
Yeah. Your gut is pretty much your conscience. Because there was an analysis that I'm one of his biggest fans, Dr. Jordan Peterson. He has videos analyzing Pinocchio. And one of the parts of Pinocchio is he mentioned that Jiminy Cricket is Pinocchio's conscience. And Jiminy Cricket in the movie, he's not really reliable because he's just a conscience, but your conscience needs practice. Mm-hmm. So if you don't trust your gut feeling, you probably don't have enough experience making critical choices.
Yeah.
So you might not have the wisdom of saying no. So that's a big problem with codependence. Mm-hmm. Is that they don't say no. They want to say no, but they just don't have the conscience to make that decision.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, can you even cultivate that? Can you even cultivate the consciousness? Can you even cultivate that wisdom?
Practice. I think with your conscience, it's one of those things where if you don't use it, you lose it.
So if you don't exercise your conscience, you automatically lose it?
It's just like your body. If you sit around and you eat pizzas and fast food and you don't go to the gym and you don't exercise, you're not going to be able to run as fast.
It's like a muscle, like anything else.
Yeah, it's like a reflex. So your gut feeling is your reflex to a decision. Not necessarily like when you go to the doctor and the doctor hammers your knee and then you kick.
Yeah.
Because that's a physical reflex. A mental reflex is definitely your gut. I would say, at least.
No, I agree. And we had a conversation a couple weeks ago where I'd seen some person on like Russell Brand. He had a podcast and the guy was saying that there's three brains, I think was the word he used. You've got the one in your head, which is the smallest. The second largest is your heart. And the third largest is your gut. And again, pushing that, you need to trust your instincts. You need to trust your gut. Where do you think that lack of trusting yourself comes from? I feel like it's socialized, but from where?
Yeah, because, there's been times where I've doubted myself, but I could possibly attribute that to being involved with people in my life who made me feel like I was doing something wrong, even though when I was trying to stand up to my own morality.
Yeah.
I thought I was making a good decision. I made some really dumb decisions, I admit, but even during the time when I was making a good decision, it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And that still kind of warped my conscience.
Yeah, totally. I think that a lot of it comes from when people don't trust their gut. It's because they've been told or socialized to believe that the brain or the logic knows more than your gut does. So, again, that idea of taking a job that makes you $20,000 more a year because logically with that money you can save up for retirement, you can do more things with it, so on and so forth, versus the gut that's saying you're not going to be happy there. Take the job at the nonprofit. You'll be much happier there. Doesn't matter about the money. You know that you won't hate your life every single day. But then logically you're like, well, I'll hate my life less when I have all this money in retirement and I can move to Florida or whatever. I don't know. I think it's all socialized, and I think it's all really under the rug. It's very subversive how it happens. Because aren't you told, basically? Well, I guess there are two competing narratives. I was going to say, isn't the common dominant narrative to trust your gut? But there's two competing narratives. It's either to be logical, use your common sense, or trust your gut.
I think when you trust your gut, immediately you want something impulsively that is attractive. So, for instance, it reminds me of one of my coworkers. This guy is a brilliant accountant, but he doesn't do that for his job. He was offered a job for $100,000 a year, and the catch was this required him to drive. Like, he couldn't move. This required him to drive almost 200 miles a day. So,
excuse you. Uh-oh, don't die on me now.
Well, hey, I don't trust that I'll make it through the night with this fucking Chinese buffet I had.
And I said I trust that we're going to live to a ripe old age like 78, so don't die on me, Brent.
Well, I'll be 77 tonight. Tomorrow I'll be 78.
Jesus Christ.
So, but this guy immediately wanted to take the job because, hey, $100,000 a year?
Yeah.
So he sat down and he did the math because he worked out, okay, with the three current jobs he makes $80,000 a year.
With three jobs.
With three jobs, as opposed to one job with that. He sat down, he did the math. He determined that he would have to buy a brand new car. And 200 miles a day, that new car probably wouldn't make it 2 years. So he would spend $40,000 on a new car just to have the mileage at zero.
Yeah.
And he would wear that car out, and he determined that just through the car and the gas and the repairs, he would actually be losing more money than making. Even though, on paper, $100,000, but if you buy a new car, that's $20,000. Gas, 200 miles a day, you're filling up every day and a half. So he's probably spending hundreds of dollars. Let's just say $200 a week on gas.
Yeah.
52 weeks a year. That's, that's like thousands of dollars in gas.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's not taking that money home from his job.
Yeah.
So he decided that it's better to just work three jobs and make $80,000 and be local than to work for $100,000 100 miles away.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. So impulses, like even today, I was at Half Price Books. They had this video game I've never seen in the wild. And I was like, holy shit, I have to get this. And then at the last minute, I decided not to. Because it was nice and shiny and I wanted it on my shelf. I would never play it. I just wanted the vanity of owning it. But I decided to pass on it. And, on the car ride home, I was kind of like Philip Seymour Hoffman in Boogie Nights, where I was like, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. But if I trusted my gut, I trust my gut a lot of the times. And a lot of the times, that's why I have to kind of get my life together right now. Because I don't have a good gut to trust.
So you think that sometimes people have bad guts that they should not trust? Or guts that you can trust sometimes but not others?
Yeah. Especially, this works with pyramid schemes. Mm-hmm. Like right out of high school, most people I know, right out of high school, there's this job, they're still going on today. I'm not going to say the company, but they offer, okay, you're 18, you're out of high school, you get $19 an hour. All you have to do is go door to door to sell our product.
Yep. What
they don't know is that there's no friggin' way they're making they have to buy their own materials to sell. They have to provide their own travel. So it keeps the people on the bottom really struggling just to make ends meet. So but $19 an hour right out of high school?
When you're 18.
Dude, it's the greatest offer ever. So your gut instinct, because like 18-year-olds don't have the same wisdom. Where if a 40-year-old heard that, they'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here!" They would say, "Look into it."
Do you think it's part of aging then and growing is that you learn to trust the gut less and your head more?
It comes with practice because it's not like The Sims where like you turn a certain age, you spin around, sparks shoot out your ass, and then you gain cosmic wisdom. You get the wisdom from fucking up.
Yeah.
So when an 18-year-old makes a mistake, and they're like, some you don't, and they tell their parents like, you don't believe in me, you don't believe what I can do. The parents like, you're gonna get fucked up, dude.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, the parents have to trust the kid to make their own decisions.
And they have to trust that if the child fails, that they bounce back from the failure. That the failure is good.
Yeah. So you need practice. And that helps you make the best decisions. And it really does help you later on in life because you learn how to protect yourself more from failure.
Yeah, totally. Totally. You do learn to protect yourself more from failure. I think it's okay to trust in the fact that failure is a good thing sometimes. Like, failure is appropriate. Not to get all Oprah, but, to say that sometimes you fail at something because you're just not meant for it, and it's better to fail early and know that it wasn't for you or it wasn't right, and then move on. So, again, but that is working off of the premise that you should trust the process and that you should trust that everything is as it should be, and you offer that trust up.
Yeah. At the end of the day, nobody wants to not trust somebody. Like, we want to trust people because we want the best outcome, but we don't have the control.
Yeah.
Because we have to rely on other people to give us the outcome. So, like, we have to trust somebody else to love us, to take care of us, to, we trust the Chinese buffet to not give poop. Well, I kind of want food poisoning, but guess what? They've never let me down.
They've never let you down. You get food poisoning every time.
I mean, I'm probably going to have, like, a cold forehead and sweaty-ass feet tomorrow morning just being in the bathroom, just trying to reconcile my decision. Reconciling
your decision, is that what we call vomiting on your hands and knees, praying to the porcelain god?
Yeah, I mean, I pray to everybody, I really think everybody. I've been a Buddhist, I'm, a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic, I even pray to atheism, whatever. I just, hope change happens over a very, very long period of time. I go back and forth between offering trust up to higher beings. Would it be awesome if there was a being or something or somewhere that had a plan and everything was going to be right and as it should be? That'd be awesome. But I guess going back to trust, I don't trust what I cannot see or feel or anything like that. And some might say, well, you're not opening up yourself to feel that. But I don't trust what my eyes can't see. And that's actually a huge philosophical thing. Like, the split with idealism and realism, going from Socrates and Plato to Aristotle, was I need to trust in the real world and what I can see and what I can feel. And obviously, realism gave birth to empiricism, which again, the empirical world. That which I can see and touch and taste, I trust more than these big, lofty ideas that I can't pin down or something like that. What about your conscience? Okay, I'm going to say this. I think your conscience is also kind of a lofty thing. Now, if we want to get, super philosophical, Descartes with, I think, therefore I am. If all you are is your conscience, if all you are is your conscience, then you should trust it. But I don't know. I want to say to trust your conscience, but then you said that your conscience is a bad conscience, or your gut's a bad conscience. You're saying gut and conscience are the same thing, right? I think, okay, conscience is kind of your conscience is the engine. Okay. Your gut starts the car. Okay. It's that spark. That stimulates it, gets shit going. So I think that, so then you're saying they're two separate entities. Gut and conscience are two separate things. Yeah, it's kind of your same system. It's like heart and soul. Heart and soul. Now, we can get really philosophical here. You think heart and soul are the same thing? No. No, okay, but they're part of the same system. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I wonder if heart and soul are the same thing. When you say heart,
Do you mean like love and emotion and feeling? And we say soul, do you mean like higher divine purpose or something like that?
Yeah, it could just be like overall being. Because heart, I would say like, okay, like whatever, like I agree with your definition.
Yeah.
Just like the feeling aspect of it.
Yeah.
Soul is like who you are.
Yeah. Well, and it's also the thing that like, I do believe in like the mind-body dualism, that like, that there is a soul, that like once your soul exits your body, you are no more. You are just a corpse. There's something that animates you, that makes you you, that is in your body, but once you pass on is no longer in your body. I do believe in that.
Yeah. So I believe the same thing works with your gut and your conscience, with your heart and your soul, with your body and your spirit.
Yeah.
They're all kind of opposites to each other. It's kind of like, like the sun and the moon, or like the trees and the wind, or like the air and the bug. So there's like some sort of duality with it.
Yeah.
Because with trust comes vulnerability.
Yes. What a good ending note for us on our 4th episode of Coffee and Catastrophe with Brent and Gabi. Yes, our next episode is going to be on vulnerability. So maybe tell somebody why you trust them and why you love them, and think about trust and what it means to you in your life. And with that, I will say good night and be good to each other.